So now that we have Contact Form 7 set up and running and everything's looking good there, let's go ahead and look at some of these settings and how to configure your form and have it be exactly what you want. So first things first, this is a great spot for me to point out that if you're already overwhelmed looking at what's going on here in the sidebar, you might want to consider just go ahead and purchasing Gravity Forms instead. It's a lot simpler to work with, it's drag and drop, and it's a lot prettier to work with. So that being said, if you want to stick with the free version, let's go ahead and roll up our sleeves and dive in. So I have my screen open here on split screen so we can kind of see what's going on. I'm under the Contact tab inside of WordPress, so I'll just click on that so you can see I just landed right here on this contact page. I'll click on this Contact Form 1. And now we have 4 different tabs that we can work with. We have our main form, so this controls what our form actually looks like. See over here on the side, it controls what the actual input boxes are. We have our mail tab, which controls how it's sent and who it's sent to. We have our messages, so for example, if I were to try and send this form right now, you can see that it says this field is required and one or more fields have an error. All this kind of stuff can be configured on the messages tab here. And then we have additional settings, and to be totally honest, I have never used this tab. So if you'd like to learn more about what this tab does or how to style this form further, I just should point out real quick that you have these Docs, FAQ, and Support tabs right here on the side. So feel free to dive in and learn even more about this. But what I want to do right now is just show you basically what I change whenever I get into Contact Form 7 and what I set up for my sites. So let's go back to form and let's just try and deconstruct what's going on here. So this is the default form, and those actually probably weren't in there. That was me playing with stuff earlier. So let's take a look at this. We have our label, which is what shows up above the contact or the input field. So in this case, your name and it's required shows up here. And then we have a text box, an input box. This little asterisk means that it's a required field. And then this is the name of the field. So how this would work, let's go ahead and go down to the bottom, is if I were to want to add any of these types of elements, I would just click on it and I can use this box to give it a name. So maybe this would be like cell phone or something like that. And I can click required field. And you'll notice down here it's building the shortcode for me. So as I click required field, it added that asterisk in there for me by default. I can give it a default value. So let's say you want it to be filled with something right out of the gate. Like that. I can use this text as a placeholder in the field, and you'll notice that it added that into my shortcode. I'll hit insert tag. I'll hit save. And now when I refresh this page, you'll see that it has this form field down here and it has the number as a placeholder text. So as soon as I click on it, that goes away and I can start typing in my own number. But you'll notice that when I refresh this page, it didn't have any label above it. I didn't know what was up here. So what we can do is copy this label. Doesn't matter which one. I'll just hit Command C, Command V to paste. I'll grab this closing label tag and now hit save. And I don't even care that this says subject right now. I just want to show you how this works. So let's refresh this page. And now I've got subject above, and you'll notice the placeholder text went away. So there's little bugs like this that I'm not quite sure if you're going to run into these or if it's just on my end, but I have found that it does stuff like this every now and then. So again, another reason why I would probably suggest jumping over to Gravity Forms. So anyway, let's keep going. I'm just going to delete this placeholder text, mostly to show you that you can work dynamically right within here. And this is just a general text input area, this whole thing. So you can mix in all of these shortcodes, but I can also mix in HTML as well. So if I save that, if you know how to use any kind of HTML tags or CSS tags or anything like that, that will work here as well. Okay, so now what we need to do is configure how this is sent. So if I click on the Mail tab, right now it's been filled with the default from local. But what you're going to want to do is put in your personal email address or wherever this is getting sent in the to field. The from field is dynamically generated. So this your name variable or shortcode or whatever you want to call it If we come back over here to form, you'll see that we have the your name here. We also have your email, we have your subject, your message, and you could call these whatever you want. This is just what contact form 7 put in here. So when I jump back over here to mail, whenever it's submitted, whenever it's sent, this will be whatever was put in this input box over here. For now, always leave this alone. So leave it as WordPress at whatever your domain name is .com. So that way it functions properly. Your subject will most likely be whatever your site name is, plus, in quotes, whatever the subject that was put in the text box over here or in the input box. So you could change this to whatever you want. Usually what I do is I put contact from my website or contact from, whatever your website is .com. That way it's a quick reminder of why this was coming to you. This I usually leave alone, and then the message body is, again, whatever you want. You can put whatever you want into here. So if we were to pull up MailHog real quick, you can see that this whole message body was what was sent through that contact form. So I can come back in here and configure this, and if I were to add more form fields, I'd want to make sure that I added those to this sent mail as well. So don't forget to add them to here when you do that. So let's go ahead and see how that works. So I'll go back to form, and I'm going to highlight this whole thing, hit Command C, jump back over to mail. I'm just going to hit Command V just to get it in here, just so I can kind of deconstruct what's going on. So let's say I wanted to add this cell phone box. What I would do is just say cell phone. And then rather than having this text box, I just want it to be that cell phone shortcode. So are you tracking with me? I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little bit confusing. This is just how I work. I'm just trying to show you what I do. So if you have questions, if it doesn't make sense, please comment on this video or in the FAQ so I can update this video. If you're following along and it's working great, then awesome. All right, so now that we got that going how we want, I'm just going to hit save. And now if I were to fill out this form and submit it, it would have that additional cell phone content in there as well. All right, so that's pretty much it for contact form 7. I hope that makes sense. Again, if you got lost, please make sure you join the Facebook group so you can reach out to anybody there and ask questions. You also have this docs and FAQ and support tabs that might do a better job of explaining their own product than I'm doing currently. And last but not least, in the next video, we're going to dive into Gravity Forms so you can see how that works and perhaps go that route instead. All right, thanks for watching.